Okay, so a warm welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining us at our Insurance Innovation series of webinars. My name is Sebastian Plavec. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Adacta, who is hosting the webinar today. Today, we're going to discuss digitalization of insurance. Specifically, we'll take a look at one of the claims management use cases. The case will be jointly presented with our longest running partner, BE-terna. BE-terna is one of the leading Microsoft partners in Europe, and we are actually running several insurance digitalizations projects together. One of the most recent one is that we started in Germany. A big warm welcome also to our two speakers who will guide us to the demos today, Viktoria Paunović and Michal Bertko. Hi guys.
Hello.
Let me just briefly introduce you. Viktoria is a certified Dynamics 365 consultant at BE-terna. Her focus is the obviously insurance industry, particularly the areas of custom services, claims management, customer experience in general. Michal is a product manager as well as a consultant at Adacta. This means that on one side, he owns and drives the roadmap of the AdInsure claims functionalities, and he's also involved in the project as a consultant and consults our clients the proper implementation of claims management. Okay, so before we dive into claims, let's just take a more high-level look at digitalization of insurance. What is it that we are talking about when we say digitalization of insurance? Because as a tech vendor, we work with insurers and partners daily, and it's critical to us to speak their language so that we all speak the common language. And it's also critical that we are able to articulate which digitalization use cases are covered by our platform or by platforms of our partners. So what do we consider digitalization of insurance? Digital insurance for us consists of three main pillars. Each provides different value and benefits, and what's also important to understand is that each actually requires building up different kind of capabilities. First, it always comes revenue. So when we talk about value from new business models, we talk about doing more business over non-traditional insurance channels, which means that this includes as well increasing customer interaction and revenue through digital channels, which are some kind of usual suspects, but also participation in ecosystems, different business models, crossing traditional industry boundaries, changing the whole distribution model. And we have actually talked about ecosystems in one of our previous webinars. So we're going to leave some link in the chat so you can take a look at the content in case of interest. Second, always comes optimization. It's cost, actually. And when we talk about optimization, we're talking about becoming a more optimal organization. We talk about traditional suspects, such as optimizing traditional core processes. An example that you're going to see today is how to shorten the claim cycle, because claims is a kind of one of the core insurance processes. How we shorten the claim cycle, how we lower the claims cost. But then we also talk about more modern technologies and approaches, such as leveraging machine learning models to make better predictions, decisions across the whole value chain. So examples would be pricing the risk properly and assessing the complexity of a claim, for example, if we are talking already about claims. So the fourth pillar, which is critical, is user experience. And when we talk about user experience, we talk about making life easier. And not only to making life easier to our customers, but also to our employees, our teams, our partners. We talk about choice as well. How I do the business with an insurer, when I do it. We talk about personalization. I'm not interested in the mass products. I would like to have my mass products that are priced accordingly to my needs. And then we also talk about transparency. Am I getting good advice? Am I investing smart between maybe prevention and insurance? And I think that with the rise of digital tech, user experience became a different game. And as core processes, you may not agree with me, but I think that as core processes and products are becoming more of a commodity, I believe the user experience is one of the areas where the battle for the customer is likely to continue. So what are some actual examples of digital insurance? Insurance business model or the insurance value chain consists of 6 key areas. And when we talk about digitalization, we actually talk about transforming these 6 areas with the help of technologies. And let's take a look at some of the examples. The insurance value chain always starts with designing a product that protects against a certain risk, and then selling the product. One of the key areas where we see lots of demand lately is making these new products available to channels for distribution immediately. And this is what we mean with, and this is what we call insurance product digitalization. Key to this capability is, for example, the use of a modern insurance system or systems that offer out-of-the-box API. So these new products can be easily then available to partners, distribution channels, and the outside world. We have some material as well available to the topic of out-of-the-box API, the importance of API, so we will leave it in the chat as well. The value chain then continues with collecting premiums, servicing, settling claims. I'm not going to go into details. What we'll see today later on is claims as well. You'll see user self-services, for example, of a chatbot, and you'll see automation use case as well. I mean, just to note that as a platform provider for insurers, we somehow serve and provide solutions to all of these areas, whether this is directly via our insurance platform or as we're going to see with partners such as BE-terna. What is driving digitalization? Well, we can state now that COVID did more for digitalization than most of internal initiatives. It has accelerated digital transformation. It has compressed digitalization project timelines. And what I mean here is what we see is that initiatives actually that were planned for next 3 to 5 years are now moved to 2 years or even less. As a tech vendor, we were in the midst of it. So when it started, we really felt that this time the digitalization thing was serious. I'm talking here when the COVID started. So what is that the insurance company started looking for by priority when it all started? The immediate interest, the interest number one was related to sales, which is normal. As the traditional way of selling by physical contact was not possible, insurers were forced actually to try something new, find solutions really soon. The main topic for sure was self-services, but as initiatives, the self-services were mostly on its way already. But because not all of insurance products are simple enough for self-service, there was lots of interest actually in tech that supports collaboration. For example, collaboration between agents and end users. And supports this, on a side note, to support this, we added video functionality and collaboration support to our agent portal, for example. Next, after sales, there was lots of interest in claims. What we noticed is increased demand actually for automation. I guess the main driver here was cost. the experience, and also then the analyst studies started popping up. This all revealed that for many life and non-life insurers, focus shifted to cost cutting and optimization. And as claims operations are one of the major costs for any insurer, it's obvious that automation and claims optimization was high on priority immediately after they settled the sales problem. So today, this is why we are going to talk about claims today. We all know how important claims are to an insurance company. On one side, claims represent the biggest expense and cost item. And they also, on the other side, claims experience, or the experience with the claims process, how it's handled and managed by the insurance company, has a significant impact on client satisfaction and client retention as well. So that's what analysis and when talking to clients, they tell us actually. So if you ask insurance company, they pay out almost 99% of the claims. But if you ask a client, they will claim that insurers are trying to avoid payments, even in quite clear situations. So this is something that we could call the great claims contradiction or something like that, a situation where no one is actually quite happy with the situation. And this is why it makes sense for us to talk about claims. This is why we would like to show you today how to improve customer satisfaction and experience. We showcase the self-service on example of a chatbot. We'll show the use case of claim automation to significantly shorten the claim cycle, and we'll show you how modern tools such as Microsoft CRM and AdInsure increase collaboration and efficiency of your own teams. So I'm handing now the presentation over to our presenters. So Viktoria, it's you now.
Well, actually, I will start. So thank you, Sebastian, and so hi and hi and good afternoon from my side as well. So for now, we've talked about what we want to achieve, but now let's talk about how we want to achieve that. And for that, we recognize that connection between two major solutions, leaders in their respective field, is quite necessary. And of course, we are talking about Microsoft CRM as the collaboration platform and AdInsure as the insurance platform. Well, of course, there are not the only softwares that might be included in the overall ecosystem, but it also creates a bit of a pressure that there is a big need to have a strong connection and integration capabilities. But let's have a look at these two solutions more closely now. And one of them is AdInsure. So AdInsure is basically one product for all the internal insurance needs. As we've already mentioned, some of these areas, the AdInsure covers a lot of major insurance processes such as sales, policy management, claims, reinsurance, recoveries, and many more. But the real emphasis here is put to the configurability and rapid changes. So as we know, the old saying, time is money. With AdInsure, we actually aim to decrease the required time to perform various changes that are quite necessary in this modern world. And I'm talking about fast product configurations and deployment. I'm talking about fast changes in the processes, data updates, and many more of them. And naturally connected with this is also a third thing, and this is an additional major advantage. And this is also why we are here today, is the native automatic API. So basically it simplifies the connection with other systems quite a lot, and it provides a strong integration framework to allow external connections. And of course, this is a key point for success, and this is also recognized by the other major solution that we will talk about today, and that solution is BE-terna's Insurance CRM. And for that, I think Viktoria will gladly tell us more.
Yes, thank you, Michal. Hello, everyone from my side. Well, I will briefly introduce you BE-terna Insurance CRM. So this solution consists of 4 key modules, and each of these modules can actually bring additional value for your business. So the customer-centric module can actually provide insurers to get know better their clients. So thanks to the comprehensive Client 360, all customer data is centralized into one single digital profile, and also all customer interactions. And above that, important alerts, key figures, insights are also there. So your insurers can quickly get to know the clients and can provide them personalized experience. Be Compliant module provides insurers to cooperate in compliance with GDPR rules. So you can actually record and track consents from your clients per different channels. You can also anonymize customer data thanks to the powerful tool for data anonymization and guided business process flow. Be Proactive model optimizes customer service processes and also empowers experience of agents thanks to the comprehensive real-time dashboards and thanks to the service level agreements, business process flows. Also within this model, you can enhance process monitoring due to performance dashboards intended for process owners. And Be Engaged model actually empowers your client's experience because it offers multi-channel customer self-service support. So above standard channels that CRM supports, such as contact center and email, we can also offer you intelligent chatbots and customer self-service portals. So you will have opportunity also to see them in practice today. So after this brief introduction of these 2 solutions, I would like to actually present you 2 use cases that we will show you today. So the idea is actually to demonstrate you how these 2 solutions seamlessly work together in practice, how data is integrated, and how different user roles are actually supported to these 2 solutions. So in the first scenario, we will show you the simple, more complex claim event, such as a car accident, and then you will have opportunity to see how claim can be handled manually by engaging claim technician, claim handler, and claim manager. And in the second scenario, we will demonstrate you less complex claim event, travel cancellation, and you will have opportunity to see how claim can be automatically settled in AdInsure. So we will start with this first scenario when our client had a traffic accident and he wants to report the claim via chatbot. Then we will step into the shoes of claim technician to see how actually he is dealing with first notification of loss in CRM and how he can actually create a claim record and activate it in AdInsure. Then we will step into the shoes of claim handler to see how he's dealing with claim handling in AdInsure. You will be able to see how data is synchronized between these 2 systems. And from the perspective of claim manager, you will be able to see how claim can be approved. So now I can start with the demo.
While I'm transferring the screen to Viktoria, I just wanted to tell you that at the end, we're going to have the question and answer session. So you can post all of your questions in the chat below. If we're not going to have the time to answer everything, be sure that we will provide information some other ways.
Okay,
Viktoria,
you can see my screen. You can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so our client is logged into the customer self-service portal, and here he actually can get all important informations. He can actually read important articles, how to report the claim, report complaint. He can ask a question in the forum. He can actually review the list of his reported cases, reported claims. And here there is an intelligent chatbot, which will ask him for, if he needs additional assistance automatically when he's logged onto the portal. So Chatbot will ask our client Martin Gibbs if he needs assistance by a live agent, or he can actually continue communication with a chatbot. So client will actually select option that the best, and then a chatbot will ask him in which area he needs assistance. Is that in the area of contact information, additional information about insurance product, or he wants to submit inquiry? So our client want to submit inquiry, and he can actually choose an area for which he wants to submit inquiry, and he wants to file a claim. So based on that answer, Chatbot automatically recognizes all policies that our client has in the database, and he asks him for which policy he wants to report the claim. So client can actually choose the policy, and then based on this response, Chatbot will actually automatically provide information about insured object from the policy, and will ask clients to confirm if this insured object is also a damaged one. So client has option to confirm, and then Chatbot will ask for some additional information about claim event. So he will ask him to enter the country of the claim event. Then he will ask him to enter the city. Then he will ask him to enter the street of the claim event, and of course the date of the claim event. And of course cause of the claim. So from the policy, he actually recognizes possible coverages, and he asks what is the cause of this claim. So it is a traffic accident. So based on all these inputs that client provided, Chatbot actually automatically created first notification of loss in CRM, and informs client that a case is created and gives him a reference number. So you had the opportunity to see what are the benefits of this chatbot. It actually provides 24/7 customer support, and on the other hand, it can automate this claim process by actually submitting first notifications of loss without any human intervention. So your claim technicians can actually focus on some more complex tasks. So now we will skip onto CRM. So you will be able to see how claim technician is dealing with this first notification of loss. So he will start his daily routine on his operational dashboard, where he can track all important activities, to-do lists. So he can track high priority claims that should be processed, claims that are not started yet, the list of all his activities, and he will actually start processing this first notification of loss. So when he opened this record, now actually case type of claim is opened in CRM, and all information that clients submitted on the chatbot are now actually stored here on this record. So claim technician can actually see that who is the customer. He can also see that this is a case type of claim. He can actually set a status because now it is in progress. On the left side of the screen, he can track service level agreements. So first response, remaining time to actually provide a first response to the client, and remaining time to resolve the entire case. Here he can actually track additional details about the customer, and in the central part of the screen are stored all interactions with the client. So later we will see actually how activities can be stored here. In claim detail section, he can actually take a look on claim event info. So this is actually information provided by a client. And also he can see that damaged object is fulfilled. So the responsibility of claim technician is actually to provide all steps here from this first notification of loss phase. He has a guided process for claim resolution, but he's responsible for this first phase. And other phases are actually just showing us how claim is further handled in AdInsure. So first thing to do is actually to decide if this first notification of loss is valid and if claim record should be created. So in this phase, he can actually check what is the origin. So it is a web due to it is created via Chatbot. He can check priority. So there is a rule that all first notification of loss reported to a chatbot are actually of high priority, and he can see that also policy is attached here. So first thing to do here is actually to check if policy is valid. So he can actually take a look on policy, and also he can check on policy details, insured object, as well as contract parties. So on insured object, he can additionally check if this object is also insured for reported risk. So he can actually conclude that everything is okay regarding the policy, and if he needs additional information about policyholder, he can just actually go to Client 360 view of this customer to get additional information about him. So here he has all important information, standard personal information and contact information, but also all his products, communication channels, and key figures about policies and claims. So based on all this information, he can actually provide personalized experience in further communication with the client. So now when he has actually all important information about this client, he can actually proceed with first notification of loss. And here in this phase, he will actually enter the line of business for which this claim will be reported. So that is car insurance. Then he has to enter a claim event and claim type. Damaged object is already fulfilled automatically, and he needs to provide a first response to a customer. When he wants to provide a first response, he can do that via different communication channels such as phone call, email, but he can also send him a portal comment during bearing in mind that client had customer self-service portal. So he can simply here create a portal comment and ask him to, for example, provide a photo of damaged object. So we will put some text here. And once he actually completes this portal comment, this comment will be automatically displayed onto the self-service portal for a customer. And you can see also here that activity is recorded. So claim technician can actually finalize this last step because first response is sent. And once he is done with this part, then we can see actually that this first response SLA will be automatically set to succeeded. So now we can actually take a look how this claim portal is presented to a client. So he can actually logs into the section My Claims, where he can review the list of his first notification of loss and claims. And here we can see that actually he has already one claim which is registered and one first notification of loss which is in progress. So he can open this record to see more details. And here he can see actually that this first notification of loss is in progress. He can check information that he's already submitted. And here he can see that claim technician asked him for additional documentation. In this case, this is an image of damaged vehicle. So he can actually directly submit a photo here on the portal, and when he's done with adding the photo, then claim technician in CRM will be automatically informed that he can actually proceed with registering this first notification of loss, because client provided necessary documentation. So here we can actually, in claim details section, we can see in images preview a photo of damaged vehicle, and when all important information is actually submitted, then claim technician can move to a next phase, claim handling. So he can simply go to a next phase by clicking here on this button, and this will actually initiate creating of a claim record. And all important information from first of notification of loss will be actually stored here on claim record. So you can see that actually claim type is defined, the line of business, claim event, claimant data, also policy here is stored. So all information from first notification of loss that are relevant for registering the claim. We can see that currently claim is in status registered, and everything is actually ready for activating the claim in AdInsure. So client can actually claim technician can actually click here to send the claim to AdInsure, and now we can see that claim activation date is populated and the claim gets activate status. So now I will pass actually the screen to Michal, so he can explain us how claim handler is dealing with claim in AdInsure.
Thank you, Viktoria. So for now, we've seen the first part of the process, and the first part when we are actually handling all the interactions with the client. And now we will be moving back to the back office side of this story. And let me just share my screen. And we will be assuming the role of the claim handler, which is actually the person responsible for any future handling and processing of claims, including also closing of the claim one way or another. And for that, I will simply log into the system. I will be using AdInsure for all of these processes for the claim handler. And I will log into the system as a handler, and similarly to what the claim technician had, I will open my dashboard, and I will open my, I will display all my open tasks. And we can see that I have one open claim here. So this is a new claim that I'm supposed to handle, I'm supposed to take care of. So I can simply follow the link and get to the overview of the claim document. So there is one thing that I would like to briefly explain, well, one terminology that I will be using quite a lot, and it is a document in the concept of AdInsure. So the document in our view is an entity that has its own data structure, it has its own workflow, even its own API, which gives us these possibilities to communicate with other systems as well. And you can see that in the middle, I have all the main information about the document. On the right side, I will have the summary where all the important parts are displayed. And on the left side, I have a menu for all the other parts of the system. So you can see on the first two tabs, I have the information transferred from the CRM. So I have an idea about the contacting party claimant, what policy was selected, the claim event that was defined, also the information about insured objects, the damaged objects, and of course some participants that the system automatically somehow mapped based on the information received. So now we are getting to the point of handler and when he starts actually working with the claim. But for that, we need to somehow understand what is the main role of the handler, what is his biggest responsibility, because we are now here talking about trying to simplify the workflow for the handlers, trying to decrease the costs, and for that we need to recognize what is his biggest responsibility. So the handler actually needs to perform the decision on the basis. So he needs to confirm and decide on the basis and to provide this information whether we are going to or how we are going to continue with handling this claim. The rest of the things or activities connected with his responsibilities, such as setting the reserves, calculating amounts, paying out payments, all of these things can be actually done by somebody else. Ideally, in our case, it would be a system. So we are trying to predict a lot of things that the handler would actually do, trying to fill in a lot of information for him so he can just briefly review all the information. And one example of that would be a reserve. So for reserve, we can see that we already have a reserve, and this reserve was set automatically by the system right at the point of registration of the claim. So we have the reserve as soon as possible defined. And this reserve was calculated based on previous payments that were done for the same coverage on previous claims for the past year. Of course, this calculation can be done in any other way. It can be even fixed amounts for some specific products. But it is important that the handler has an option to actually change this reserve, to add new reserves for different coverages, or as we separate them, to add cost reserves or reserves related to interests. But actually, he doesn't have to do anything at this point unless he knows like more information about this claim, about the size of the reserve that has to be done. What is important for him is the basis part. And again, not only pre-filling the information about for the handler about the information that he needs, and somehow trying to statistically get the idea what actual information will be used. We also need to recognize one important thing, and that is that we need to provide the right information at the right time. So usually during the handling part or when deciding on the basis, the handler needs to review a lot of documents. He needs to review a lot of information. Most of the information comes from the policy. Also, it comes from previous claims or other policies, anything else. It's, of course, there are more of these involved documents that come into play. But it is important that he can quickly review conditions and clauses. They are taken directly from the policy. And when we open the claim basis, which was again pre-filled based on the information taken from the first notification of loss, he can see all the information. He can see the details about limits and deductibles of that product that we have. We can see all the previous claims. He has a link there. He can follow it and check all the additional information if necessary. He can even follow the policy link and see the whole document itself to check all the information. But actually, what he has to do here is just to decide here in this phase whether he's going to approve or reject this particular basis for this risk and insured object. And basically that's it. He will then confirm this basis and he can move on to another part of this process. And these parts of the process, there are several of them. He can probably go with the inspection. So he can request an inspection, which of course the inspection can be in different types such as motor, property, medical. But the inspection in our view is a separate document. It is done so because we have a special workflow for it, we have special attributes, and we also, because it is a separate document, we also have a special API for it that is automatically updated. So again, it enables us to work with external sources of information for that. I wouldn't go to the inspection definition because that can be quite long. However, I will go to the calculation part. So we now approve the basis, and the next phase we should do is actually calculate the amounts, what we want to do. And a claim calculation, again, in our system is treated as a separate document. This is due to the reason that it can be quite complex thing. You can have lump sum calculations, you can have annuity calculations. You can create several advances upfront and then close it with one final calculation. and many more of the things that can be done and performed on the calculation. You can settle several bases in scope of one calculation, or you can split them into several calculations. Nevertheless, we will try to do a simple workflow here. And you can see that a lot of information was pre-filled. We can see that the damage object is automatically offered from the claim that we received from the CRM information. And we will add one principal calculation item. We will select from the basis that we've actually approved. And again, system recognized that, okay, for this type of basis, for all the information we have, you should just define the amount manually because we don't have any kind of additional information about that. If we would have, or if this would be a different type of product, for example, for a calculation of number of days, of course, this calculation will be done in a different way. What we can see here that the deductible already kicks in, meaning that we've defined 5,300, but the amount of payment is actually lower. Of course, if the limit would be lower, then it will also affect the final amount. Actually, the last thing that we need to do here in this simple example is to define the beneficiaries. So we have beneficiaries for all the items on the calculation, and we can define several beneficiaries so they can split the share of the percentage of each item, and then this is how we can distribute these amounts between them. Again, system offers us participants from the claim, and in our case, we will just pay this 100% to our claimant. And this is basically what we need to do. We need to now confirm the calculation. And you can see that the system says, okay, the reserves will be adjusted automatically. This is due to the reason that this is a final calculation, meaning that we don't expect for this coverage to have any additional amounts being defined. So we can now move to the claim for the last phase, actually, in this whole handling process. And this phase is the liquidation part. So for the liquidation, it's just basically how we want to send this money, how the beneficiary will receive this money that we have just approved. So for that, we will just define some basic data. We will say that we will use a wire transfer, and we have a bank account from his party registry available. We can set even the beneficiary reference number if needed, or it can be even predefined if we have a format for that. So we'll select the item for paying out, and actually we'll submit the payments, and that would be it. But not really, because you can see that now we are in the authorization part, and that means that we've actually exceeded the special threshold. In this case, it was 5,000 euros. And now the claim is required to have some user that has higher level permissions to actually confirm and approve that these amounts can be paid out. And for that, we will move back to the CRM to check all the information that we've now just defined, and also to see how the claim manager, who will be the role that we'll be approving, will actually handle this. So I will again pass this to Viktoria.
Well, thank you, Michal. We are back in CRM, and we can see actually what type of data is synchronized back from AdInsure. So we can see that currently claim status is in liquidation. We can see which claim handler is dealing with this claim, and we can see that for each of these phases, the most important values are transferred from AdInsure. So we can see that actually claim assessment amount is transferred, the claim basis is approved. In claim calculation phase, we can see calculation type, calculation number. In claim liquidation phase, we can see what type of liquidation is selected and defined amount for payment. So bearing in mind that amount for payment is greater than 5,000, this is actually automatical trigger in CRM for creating a claim approval phase. And we can see that currently claim is waiting for approval. So email notification is sent to claim manager to confirm actually this claim amount. So we can see actually how this approval looks for a claim manager. So he can see all important information about this claim, and he can also open this link for more details in CRM. So he has the option to approve or reject the claim. And in this case, he will approve the claim, and this will be automatically displayed here to a claim technician, actually data who approved the claim and when the claim is approved. Also, this information about approval is transferred to AdInsure. So now we will actually take a look how a claim can be settled after approval in AdInsure. I will give the screen to Michal.
Thanks. So yeah, we've now seen that the manager actually approved the calculation, sorry, the claim and the payments that we are going to perform. So we are back in the AdInsure, and we will now refresh this claim to see what happened. And yes, we can see that the claim is no longer in the authorization state. And also system is saying that we fulfilled all the conditions to be actually settled, for this document to be actually settled. And it offers us an option, okay, we can go ahead and do this part right now because there are basically no more unapproved bases, there is no open calculation, there are no unprocessed payments. So basically everything is set as it should be. And this is the important part again. It is necessary for the system to somehow guide the user throughout the process, so he knows what is required at each time of each part of the process. But it is important also to leave the user the ability to actually perform any kind of changes that are, of course, valid at the time in the system. So if he wants to add additional reserve, go ahead, do it. If he wants to define new bases and settle it, of course. This is again, system now says we can use this suggestion actually settled because we actually really did what we wanted. We didn't want to settle any additional bases. And you can see that the document is now in the settled state. All the information is read-only, so I cannot change it unless I will reopen this claim. And if we will have a look at the reserve, we can check the reserve tab, which has some kind of statistical information and also analytical information that we have and with what we did actually, but we actually didn't do anything. So this is the thing, that the system is doing a lot of things for us, meaning you see now the reserve is at 0 because we have a settled claim and we cannot have an open reserve on a settled claim. But you can see that there was a decrease when we confirmed the calculation. So we knew that this is the final amount that we are going to pay. And also an additional thing is that the system closed the reserve when we settled the claim, so when we finish this. One additional thing to have a look here is the payment orders. So these are the payments that were processed. One payment order was created. And again, in our view, this is a separate document. The payment order is a separate document that is actually handled by the accounting department. So this is no longer an issue for the handler. And actually his work is done. He doesn't need to do anything else on this particular claim, and he can focus on other claims right now. So we will then focus again, as we mentioned, on one more claim. But first, let's briefly go back to the CRM to see how this information is then moved to the part of CRM.
Okay, so in CRM, claim technician can actually check the final status of the claim. So he can see actually claim status is settled, it is paid to beneficiary, and he's back again on his first of notification of loss records. So he has actually only to resolve this case, and prior to that he will notify client that his claim is settled, and this will actually automatically create email for a client, and he can actually just here you can see that email activity is created and all our other activities regarding this record, and he can actually resolve the case by clicking this button here, and in that case service level agreement would be successfully finished. So in the second scenario, we would like to demonstrate you one simple claim. So we will assume also that our client Martin Gibbs already submitted a claim via Chatbot, actually first notification of loss, and our claim technician already prepared everything for activating the claim in AdInsure. So currently he actually has a claim record which is registered, and we can actually just check what is the cause of claim. It is a cancellation due to air traffic restrictions, and we can also see that this claim is a personal claim, who is the claimant, and if we want, we can actually check additional policy details. So it is actually a product type of policy. So claim technician can actually send this claim to AdInsure, and once he is click on the button, we can see that this claim status is automatically set to settled, and also we can see that for each of these phases, data is already pre-filled. So claim assessment is filled. In claim liquidation, we can see that amount for payment is defined, and that actually it is paid to beneficiary, and client is automatically notified. So now Michal will explain us how this automatic claim settlement is configured in AdInsure.
Yeah, sure. So you could see that the claim was already set to settled right after it was sent to AdInsure. And how was that possible? Well, you can guess that this claim was handled a bit differently. And we can have a brief overview for these types of claims to see the last one, actually this one. And that would be our claim that we did, that actually now Viktoria sent to AdInsure. But you can see that this claim is already settled. So basically this claim, we recognize that it can be performed automatically. We can actually perform a lot of things, all of decisions by ourselves, because this is a simpler type of claims. We even have less information here. We don't have any information about the calculations. The claim basis was actually approved automatically. The reserves, okay, now they are of course at zero because it is settled, but for a brief moment it was increased and then decreased back. And we of course paid out the amount that we wanted to. How this could have been done? Well, basically we have several rules that we are checking when we receive the information about upcoming claims. And in this case, in this scenario, this is a travel claim that actually is, as Viktoria mentioned, the flight was cancelled, and we can get this information. We can also confirm this information from some external software such as aviation logs that basically we have this flight was actually cancelled, and we also have some additional subset of rules for that based on which we can decide whether we want to handle this claim automatically or not. And for that, because how do you show that something was done automatically, right? It was done in an instant. But I can briefly show you how actually the system decides on these things, on these claims, whether to process them automatically or not. So we have our own tool, our own solution that we use for actually working with our system, to configure our system, to change basically everything in the system. And it's an extension of the Visual Studio Code. And in this extension, we actually are working with the rules. And one of these rules that we have is this rule that I've been talking about the travel. And we can see that it's a very, very simple rule for this in this case, because again, we know that the flight was canceled. We have some basic data, some two inputs that are coming into the decision. And the decision itself, it can be configured any way you want, any combination of information. and the result, you set it out, basically what kind of result you want to see, whether the claim is automated or manual. Of course, this rule is quite simple. If I would have a look at one of the rules that is more complex, for example, in this case, this is a premium calculation, but you can see that the rule is a bit more complex, and this is how it can look like, how you can define these rules. So everything that we do here in this solution or in this extension is actually reflected here, and we can use this for easy configuration of workflows, UIs. Basically, business person can actually work with this and configure these things. And as I said, we can use the internal decisions or the decisions that are done in this decision table that I've shown you. So this was a DMN standard, or we can also incorporate some external services if we have, for example, some kind of dedicated machine learning algorithm that will provide this information for us. So that is also an option. And with that, I would like to wrap it up and shortly summarize what we've seen today, because we still want to have some time for questions and answers. So basically today we saw a strong connection between two systems. Each of these systems is dedicated to a different area of the whole process. And on one hand, we have the BE-terna CRM for handling all the interactions with the client, all the interactions that the claim technician is performing. On the other hand, we have AdInsure to simplify the process of internal insurance handling and decisions. And with that, I would like to thank you for your attention. And now I would give some time and give space for the Q&A session. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Viktoria, and thank you, Michal, for the very detailed explanation and showcasing the capabilities of systems. So let me just let's go to the questions. Actually, can you see my screen? Or
yes, we can.
We got several questions from the audience, so I'm gonna ask now. I go directly. Thanks for the questions. We really appreciate it. So first question was related to the chatbot. Viktoria, this is for you, I guess. The question is, what are the mechanics, prevention mechanism to prevent, like that it's a kind of spam notification, so that I think this is fraudulent reporting or something like that. Authentication and authorization before the claim is reported. Now that we are dealing with the chatbot.
Well, yes, you have opportunity to see actually that chatbot is already implemented on the customer self-service portal, and their client was already logged in. So authentication was done automatically. That is, for example, scenario for portals. And when chatbot is on the web, then chatbot will first ask to client to authenticate, and then after authentication, he will actually ask him if he needs additional help regarding claim reports.
Thank you so much for the answer. I hope it answers the question. The second question, Michal, is for you. So it's with regard to detail of reserves. So the question is, can you adjust the solution, configure AdInsure for different approaches from insurance, such as general lines, or can we have more granular details? Just as can we go to the level of motor damage reserve split between different heads of claims or something like that? So it's about detailed level of reserves.
Of course. Well, for what you've seen today in terms of AdInsure functionality, it's just like one of the ways how it can be configured. It's actually quite configurable, as I've mentioned several times. And this is just one way how we did it. But of course, as you mentioned, the detail of the reserve or the granularity can be adjusted based on the insurance company needs. So we can have a different split of reserves. We can have more information related to reserve. we can adjust a lot of additional details for each reserve so that it has its own part, own category, and basically then it can be, then this information can be transferred to the accounting with no problem. So I think that we are quite capable of doing these things.
Thanks, Michal. Viktoria, I go now back with another chatbot related question. Can I have a chatbot in the local language?
Yes, of course. Chatbot can be configured to support different languages and also multi-language business scenarios.
Now I go back, Michal, to yourself. The question is, how can handle find all of the documents for reviewer that he has? We have a kind of overview for the particular role.
Yeah, of course. We have several overviews based on the roles, based on the lines of business, depending on basically what the insurance company needs. But we also are utilizing a workflow of activities. This is actually what I've very briefly shown at the beginning, where I went to this dashboard and saw like there was one additional activity assigned to me as a handler. So this is how we can handle easily all these notifications, all these activities, or all these assignments that are related to separate users. So we can do it through the overviews to have like a list of these things, or we can use this activity workflow and actually these have deadlines, priorities, and a lot of other things. So that would be my answer.
Thanks. So then we have a related question about the history of the claim. Can we check the whole history of what was happening with the claim?
Yes, of course. I didn't show it because we had a very short time, but basically all the information that we are processing, all the information that we are working with, we have an analytical system for that. So we are able to track all the changes, the same as we had with the reserves. So we could see all the increases, decreases that were done, basically all the transactions in different times. The same goes for the whole claim level. So basically all the information on the changes of level, we have this audit trail, if you would say.
Thanks, Michal. Viktoria, I'm not running out of the questions, so the questions are getting in. I have a question for you with regards to the CRM functionality. Can the claim be liquidated in the CRM?
Well, no, because CRM is a collaboration tool, so it is extension of AdInsure. It can help actually to collect all necessary inputs to register a claim in AdInsure, and also stores all important outputs of claim handling. And also it is a tool which can provide you to communicate with your clients via their preferred channel. So it actually stores all customer or client interactions. So there is a difference actually between CRM, which is a collaboration tool, and AdInsure, which is a core system for claim handling. And these two solutions seamlessly can actually provide a much more personalized customer experience.
Thanks, Viktoria. As we are already over the timeline of 60 minutes, I will ask just the last question, because this is for you, and then we are gonna wrap it up. The last question is related to inspection by external providers. How is this integrated with the workflow that we have been seeing now?
So I've briefly mentioned the inspection. Again, it can be quite complex thing, so I didn't go into many details there. But as I mentioned, the inspection is a separate document. So it has its own API that allows us actually to get information from external systems such as Autotex or any other. So we can either get this information directly through the API to this document, and then we can process that as a claim handler and see that in AdInsure, or with inspection, we can work in all different other ways. We can allow our service providers to work with it, and so on and so on. So there are quite a lot of options actually with the inspection.
So with this, I would really like to wrap it up. I would like to thank you, everyone that participated, for all the questions, for the time you spent with us. I would like to thank Viktoria and Michal, and I only have for the end, 3 tips when you are going and selecting technologies for digitalization. So what we have seen, I guess, one of the things that you should be looking for is to go for the platforms that are quite easy to integrate, APIs, integration platforms, integration frameworks. Secondly, go for modern platforms that are designed and built with this notion of low code, which means that they are easy to use, easy to change. They don't support and need only technical users for implementing the change, but as well business users. And go for the platforms, the technologies that allow you certain level of process automation, which means using not only internal data, but also external data, such as the most modern machine learning algorithms and such. So thank you very much. That's all. Hope to see you all at our next webinar. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Goodbye.